Okay, welcome to the movie Lighthouse, shining light through the fog of film. I'm James.
I'm Wyndham. How's your voice going?
Yeah, it's just still not there.
It was fine earlier.
I know. It seems like every time I go to record, maybe it's psychological.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's the 2 hours of
I feel
Joker
quite
we've just watched.
Psychological after that. Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell, that's there's a lot going on in that film.
Certainly a lot going on.
I did have to continually remind myself that it was a comic book.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like it.
But finally, DC seem to have done something right.
Well, I was wondering whether it is actually DC, but holy shitballs, that is...
It certainly is DC.
I know it's the stories are, but I don't think it's DC Studio, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Because they've gone dark. That was always their thing, whereas Marvel was shiny and funny.
Yeah.
That is a pretty seriously dark film. I read a review about it before we saw it that basically said you leave feeling like you've been smashed around the head with a baseball bat, and there is a feeling of that. It's like
I feel like a little bit liberated.
Well, that's frightening,
isn't it? Just
Christ.
I mean, we should have really addressed. We're going to try not to do any spoilers, but we should address some of the concerns in the media that have been going around about this film, that it can incite violence. And for me, from my perspective, it just seems to me that, like, well, maybe the balance does need to tip a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, the rich have got it great and the poor are suffering.
Well, it's interesting. If you look... So this is obviously a film set in Gotham, shot in America. And Gotham is the great pretend America. We're in the UK, we're in London.
Yeah.
But you look at just the politics of over here, and we're 11 years into austerity, and there is a massive divide, and it just feels ever more tinderbox-like.
Yep.
And just this level, the balance is off. Of course it is.
And what with Extinction Rebellion, I think that tinderbox is ready to kind of fire.
Yeah.
And I think films like this should not be kind of feared, but seen more as like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And go, because I'm right in saying today's World Mental Health Day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was thinking that while I was watching it.
Yeah.
And just thinking, well, that's ironic to a degree that you and I are going to see this film on today, which is World Mental Health Day, because it's a film about mental health, and it's a film about cutting people adrift who need help, and it's a film about removing the support that great swathes of society need.
And this is all happening now.
And this has all been happening for the last 7 years.
We're seeing people walking,
we were just sat outside the cinema, and the guy in the suit.
Oh, yeah.
Who is an older guy wearing a pinstripe suit, looking pretty dapper, dancing up and down the street. And then you kind of go, oh, this is just a guy just dancing. But clearly not. Clearly a guy who probably needs some help.
Yeah.
And whether he's getting that help, I don't know. Maybe he goes home and he's fine. I don't know. But it was all a little bit resonant.
Yeah. But maybe every now and then films should be.
Completely agree. And fucking Joaquin Phoenix. Jesus Christ. It's one of those things that I never watch all of the Oscar films.
No.
Can never really be bothered. But holy shit. That is a performance.
It really is. In fact, I thought there were a few very strong performances. Robert De Niro was perfectly cast.
Yeah, and he reminded me of somebody who now I can't remember who it was he reminded me of.
Oh.
But exactly perfectly cast in that horrible, sleazy, slimy... He's the comedy late night TV host.
Yeah.
It's just
he's just and like they kind of sum it up, but profiting from everybody else's misery.
Yeah,
really.
he's a
pretending to be man of the people.
He's a kind of drawn back version of Killian.
Yes. Absolutely. Let's get back to that one.
Yeah.
And I thought the woman who played his mother was also very good. I last saw her in the series The Mist.
Right.
Which she played kind of a quirky hippie, really, who kind of became impassioned with The Mist. But I thought that was a great performance as well.
Yeah, very good. I'm still a little bit kind of... I think it was Todd Phillips as the director.
Yes.
And he was saying that it's essentially a character study of Arthur, who becomes Joker.
Yeah. Now, I've seen, I think is it, I can't remember the name of it, but I've read the comic book that this is based on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's lots of elements that are similar, but I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm loath to say it's a great film because it's not an enjoyable watch, particularly because it's really.
But I think it's a realistic watch.
I agree. The thing that I always struggle with, and it is an American it's something that happens in American films, and I know that as a society, it's portrayed as a very violent society, but it's kind of like violence at the first instance. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all of the interactions, you have an interaction between one character and one or multiple other characters, and as soon as there's any kind of conflict between them, it's violence immediately, and there's no escalate. It's like, I disagree with you, therefore.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of how America wanders around the world.
Absolutely.
It's kind of geopolitical standpoint, but I always find that really difficult. And it's not just to this film, it's to all sorts of films. But just that kind of, I disagree with you, therefore I'm going to punch you in the face. It's like, oh, fuck off, grow up.
Yeah.
But that's where this film is based. It's kind of like the separation between the haves and have-nots is, well, you don't matter because you have not. Or you don't, you need to be taught a lesson because you have.
Yeah.
It's just really...
Wow.
It's hard work.
Gosh. So, is he, Joaquin, your definitive Joker now?
I kept having to remind myself of Jack Nicholson just to kind of raise myself out of the depths of it all.
It'll be interesting to know if they go anywhere else with it. You know, they make a sequel.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
so,
how they get back to the kind of Batman thing.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, you kind of look at Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
which was the last outing Joker had, and Jared Leto played him.
Yeah.
And he ended up mostly on the cutting room floor. That would have been. I think it would have been more interesting to see. It would have been interesting to see how he genuinely played that character.
Yeah. Well, he played him like, I can't remember, was it James Cagney?
Yeah, but the whole kind of laugh in this that Joaquin does is, it's just really
It's haunting.
It's really,
it's very
because
haunting.
there's no humour behind it.
Yeah.
It's like a mechanism.
Okay, so I think we better wrap it up.
Yeah.
So, marks out of 10. I'm going to give it a 10. I think it's certainly my film of the year.
Yeah, it's got to be a... I'm going to go... Because it's not an enjoyable watch, it's not trying to be, I think I'm going to go 9.
Wow.
And the music is brilliant. Really.
Yeah, the music. I wanted to talk about the music. Really disturbing.
Really disturbing. And to the point that... So I had a couple of beers, and they're a stimulant, so your heart rate goes up anyway. But I was just a puppet on the string to the music. It was kind of, I'm feeling really anxious now because the music is making me anxious. And just the finale...
Yeah,
Go
definitely.
watch it. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch the film. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, that's us done.
That's us signing out.
Right, better get back to the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Lighthouse.